and Jordan Maxwell, a social historian. And Jordan, the last time we were talking, we talked about the Illuminati and various conspiracies and all. You wanted to talk about the difference between the old world order and the new world order.
Right. We're hearing this term, New World Order, and our troops are in the Middle East because of something called the New World Order. I just wanted to bring to your attention the reason for that term. Europe is referred to as the Old World, and the power structure of the Old World was referred to as the Old World Order. I mean, the old Romanov dynasties, the Rothschilds of England, the banking dynasties throughout Europe, and the whole power structure of what we call Europe was the European Old World Order. The founding of America, we now are in what we call the New World.
Nothing happens by accident. If it happens, it was planned that way.
This goat will bring them all the way up the ramp, and right before they drop the trap on the sheep, the Judas goat steps to the side.
And that's why they have their offspring, these Illuminati refer to their offspring in their publications as their children, their offspring. They refer to your offspring as kids. You have kids because you're just like a goat.
Sheeple.
You're sheeple. That's why you have kids.
And your children are going to be slaughtered if you go along with the program. There's no question about it. They're going to be identified. They're going to be marked.
We get into numerology. That is a whole interesting subject of how numbers are used by the ancient world. 13 is an unlucky number, we're told.
It's a satanic number.
Well, but it's called an unlucky number because originally it dealt with Jesus and his 12. Jesus and the 12 make the 13, upon which a new order of life would be established on earth. The conspirators have then seized upon this term of the 13, Jesus plus the 12, and have begun to build on that a new world order. Something I wanted to bring out about this new world order, because we said we want to explain it. Let me make this point, that Europe is referred to as the old world, and anything coming from Europe is old world. When you understand that Europe dominated the world for almost 1,600 years, the Vatican dominated Europe. The Vatican dominated the old world order.
First off, he said the ancient world. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's correct.
Geographically, where would ancient world be in your mind?
The ancient world is over there in the Middle East, Africa, or the Middle East.
Okay, I concur. I would not, necessarily call it the Middle East. That's their term, but I would consider it to be Northeast Africa.
Northeast Africa. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and now he's simply pointing out who was really behind the agenda, and he's referring the evildoers as Europeans. Did he not say that?
Right. He did say that.
Okay, so I'm just trying to make sure I'm following clearly. So if the ancient world was using the number 13 in a supernatural way, then the ancient world then and how they present it to us now is the ancient world would be more or less aliens, when it especially comes out of Egypt, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so yeah, I think you got to watch the hijack when our European uncles are talking and giving truth to the Europeans, but you really got to watch the hijack. You got any comments so far about what we heard?
No, everything you said is on the one, and it's perfectly, like you said, perfectly clear. As you mentioned before, you know what I'm saying, they'll tell you the truth, but they'll tell you the truth in their way, and you have to listen to the double talk and the hijack of how they explain things. Because if you're not careful, you'll misinterpret or you'll misunderstand it.
You'll be lost.
So
Yes.
you will be
I agree.
lost.
All right, let's see what else they got to say.
Those banking families that were Roman Catholic banking families of Europe were the powers of the world. They dominated the world. With the coming of America, America becomes known as the New World. Remember, Columbus discovered a new world. When we hear the word New World Order, we're talking about a fraternal order of power, religion, money, operating out of the New World, America.
But a satanic, occultic, evil form of power.
The big picture, they want it all. They want to enslave your child, your wife, your mother. There isn't anything that you ever had. There isn't anything that you own.
Spoonful of sugar will make it go down. That's what they say.
Yeah, if you believe in that, that's exactly what they said.
Right? So
that's deep. If I heard correctly, America is more or less, it's been grafted per se,
right.
and it's not. It's what's on the surface is one way, and what's beneath the surface is another way. And considering the fact that these videos were jumping off in the 90s, it seems like they really are talking about current day.
Exactly.
And
this is
it kind of is. It's interesting to me to see how it never seems to be the fingers pointed directly at the people who are the cause or at the root cause. It's thrown out there, but it's never really directly pointed at them. It's interesting how they converse with each other.
Yes, and this is one of the main reasons why digging in the crates of these videos that we pick that I have picked for this subject matter is because, like you said, there's everything that they're saying at that time is relative to right now in 2021, you know. And like anything, you know, they don't give you the whole, pieces to the puzzle, but what they do is give an outline, and it's up to one's own, person to dig deeper or get into it. For example, like he was talking about these old elites, and as you know, they don't go into names per se, but if recently there have been many TV and podcast programs that uh, mention certain occult or certain fraternities, such as the Bilderberg, also the Tevin Scott Institute, and these are actually started from the old world, as they said, And if you take a look, or if you're able to run across any of the notes or books that they had published, you will soon put these pieces together. But yeah, interesting stuff. And let's continue.
So you go down the line, and all of the great dictators and tyrants of the world have always dreamed of taking over the world. But everyone tried it the wrong way. Everyone has tried to take over the world with military. And everyone has discovered that military will not work. You cannot police and militarize enough to take over the world. So the Illuminati in 1776 developed a whole new concept of how to pull this project off. Instead of trying to force people into a new order or a totalitarian dictatorship on the military, which you cannot do because people are always going to rebel at that. The idea was developed by Adam Weishaupt to create enough violence and create enough chaos and enough bloodshed to frighten the world so that the entire world of mankind would one day come to the conclusion that there's too much bloodshed, too much crime, and there's just no possible way for the human race to exist unless we come together and pool our resources and all of us accept one government and one order, and we will all live together in peaceful, happy, on one family, and nothing could be further from the truth.
Terry Cook, you came on strong and heavy just a few years ago, and you become the expert on this new computer chip that's supposed to go in the back of the hand. It all relates to this Council on Foreign Relations group, the Bilderbergers, the Club of Rome, this oligarchy who's trying to bring it all about.
That's right, Anthony. Let's make a very complex issue as simple as possible for the people's benefit. The New World Order really consists of three aspects. There is a New World political system that everyone today is calling the New World Order. As well as that, there is an economic plan for the New World Order, and that is called the New World Economic Order. In addition to those two items, there's a third plan for religion. You see, the planners of the world know that men need a religion of some kind, even if it's a false one. So they have a plan to give us a new age world global occultic religion. So really there's three aspects to this New World Order. A New World Economic Order in which a computer chip will be injected into our hands or foreheads as a means to track, control, and identify us, and will also be used to make our purchases and scan its
Well, they've already put the program in Los Angeles. In fact,
Right.
a trilateralist named Mayor Bradley, Uncle Tom Bradley, was responsible for putting this in dogs.
Right.
And your children will be considered like animals. And
But, you know, before we get into that, which is later down the road, I think we should clearly explain to people what the Illuminati is. You know, for those of us who are acquainted with this term, we don't have to explain it to ourselves, but for the average person out there, they've never heard this term. Jordan, explain to people what Illuminati means.
Well, it comes from, the word Illuminati comes from the Latin word illuminan or illumin, which means light. And so anyone who is enlightened or brilliant, and of course those who are the most enlightened are called brilliant people.
well, it comes from Lucifer.
Well,
what we're really
I'm
talking
getting-
about here
yeah.
is Lucifer, the fallen angel, and they have picked up on this, the Illuminati.
Well, as I was saying, it implies those who hold the light, the enlightened ones, and they sent us a statue, as a matter of fact. Those ancient Illuminatis sent us a statue called the Statue of Liberty. It's holding the torch of illumination, which is the Promethean torch of Freemasonry. And if you go to the Statue of Liberty, you'll see a bronze plaque inside saying that this was given to the government of America by the French Grand Orient Temple Masons. And it is a symbol of Grand Orient Freemasonry in America, the holder of the light. And that's exactly the same torch that is carried during the Olympics. It is the torch of Prometheus.
It's not the torch of freedom.
No, it's not the torch of freedom.
Of the Illuminati.
Illumination.
So essentially, in a nutshell then, Jordan, these men whom we tend to call or group in an organization called the Illuminati. It's a loose-knit but tightly secretive organization.
Well, operating through the
absolutely.
Council on Foreign
Right.
Relations, through the Trilateral
Right.
Commission, through the Club of Rome, through Global 2000, which wants to reduce the population of the planet by, 25%. 25. That's 1,250,000,000 people have to be exterminated by the year 2000.
Well, they can do that.
It's
technology.
This Illuminati then is the group of men who control not only all the money on the planet through all the world banks and the Federal Reserve and so on, but they control essentially all the governments. And so these men are planning to bring about a global form of government that's unique in all history. It's a total enslaving system of world communism and fascism, controlled by a hierarchy in Europe that Anthony calls what? The oligarchy.
Well, no, I call it the evil-archy.
The evil-archy.
The oligarchy of
Okay.
evil.
So these men are satanically inspired, and of course we get that term from the Bible, which means the devil. They're satanically inspired to bring about a global form of government to every nation on earth.
That was very interesting as well.
Chips in the hands.
Chips in the heads. There it is. He's breaking it down, and he's talking about things, again, that's happening right at this moment, and you see it on the news every day, the new modern technology. You're talking about new religion, and it was stated that they do have a new religion. It's called AI. That's their new god. So, again, what they're saying from way back when, 93, is still relative 2021. Any thoughts, Vessel 2?
Yeah, I totally agree. The message has not reached the masses of the people because what they are talking about has progressed, and now they're talking about the transhumanism is, I'm assuming it's going to take off really fast going forward. It's more or less convenience sake now. I was just watching a commercial, or it wasn't a commercial, it was something on the boob tube, and they were just showing um, a man with goggles on, but inside the goggles were IT tech, high tech imagery of what he was seeing. So it was all computer-wise graphic laced technology in these glasses he was wearing. And he was able to look at something and cut. He was looking at grapes, and he cut some grapes off a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And the customer's response to that, I think, is going to be two types of customers. One who is die hard for that type of technology, and then the other type who are looking at it sideways. But it's coming. They're not going to have to force chips in the hand. I think it's going to be more or less volunteer when it comes around. People just be looking at it as more or less a convenience. Let's see what else they got to say, though.
One world government.
Right.
Ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Führer. They want one world, one currency, one race, one religion. And if you ever read anything from Global 2000, you'll find out that they plan to reduce the population of this planet by 25% by the year 2000. Mm-hmm. And how are they going to do that? Designer diseases. Mm-hmm. It's my thesis. It's Dr. Robert Strecker's thesis.
Did you catch that?
Yeah, I caught it. And it's happening. It's, like I said, they want to downsize population control. There you go.
He did say that. But who did he point the finger at?
Well, who he was talking about?
Right.
He was talking about the old Europeans.
Exactly. He's talking about how Europeans have a particular way of running things to the ground and warring till there is no more war. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm so glad to have European uncles who are knowledgeable about history.
There you go.
Let's see what the ending result is of this conversation. I think they're doing an excellent job, though. I mean, really, if in 1993 I was exposed to this type of information, I don't know whether or not any of it would surprise me, but it seems like they're speaking about what's going on now, but back then. But it seems to be that the amount of attention that it doesn't get is still the same.
Right.
That's sad because they are correct about where things ended up. So the ultimate plan is to have one size fit all.
There you go. That's it.
That's nice. Nice of them.
It's nice of them.
Yeah, I mean, it is really.
Yeah.
You can't. At least they tell you. You just have to pay attention. But at least they tell you about it. It's nice of them, to let us know in '93 exactly what was going on, and here we are in 2021, and it's still relevant.
Still relevant.
It's not for the profit, but for the propaganda.
For the propaganda.
Yes.
But you see, they know what they're saying. And as I brought out to you before, the old magic practicing priest of England, the old Celtic priest, used to work their magic like Merlin the magician with his magic wand. And magic wands were always made out of Hollywood. So I'm saying that Hollywood has been used by, and that's why motion picture stars are called movie stars. Because in the Bible, stars were referred to as lesser illuminaries. So these lesser illuminaries are working for the big Illuminati. So the big Illuminati are using the lesser Illuminati. The lesser illuminaries are just stars.
So what you're saying, Jordan, is most of us are asleep.
We're
We're
totally
very
asleep.
subtly being conditioned by a number of occultic organizations, occultic attacks, occultic conspirators, to condition us into this coming
we are
satanic
being
new world
awakened,
order.
really, to the
Right.
New World Order. You take a
Right.
look in like Time magazine. I'm going to bring it out again. You say you want a revolution, but are we willing to pay the price? They're talking, we don't want a revolution, we want a revelation.
Things that's happening.
Yeah, but
Of course.
the question is, are we asleep? That's the question.
Yeah, that's well. I mean, again, obviously, that's why again, digging in the crates is one of the best things to do, especially when you find these hidden jewels that's just there, untouched or not even that haven't been noticed. It's a wild thing. We have enough for a whopping episode to knock people against their dome, and hopefully will wake them up. But everything that's been said, population control, one world government, the only thing that hasn't yet been brought to the forefront is the money. I think the next currency they're going to try to push for is like we talked about the Bitcoin or a cashless society where you it's going to be with the chip that they insert, and so it's going to be all connected. So basically, the final showdown will be that you're in the system. Big Brother will have you in the system. You're chipped. You're logged. You are categorized, and you are connected to the internet or the matrix, and everything is going to work through that. So this is what I'm seeing. How about yourself, Professor Sue? Any last thoughts or words?
Yeah, I see it the same way. I really think that is an agenda that they came up with, and they're trying to see it to fruition. But it's no different, really, in my opinion, than the system that they already have currently in place. Really,
Of course.
I mean,
Yeah, of course.
we pretty much cashless society as it goes. When it comes to technology, now you would think of Asia as the leading forefront of technology, but their technology came from America. It's just these video clips, while digging in the crates, it just proves to me that the warnings were loud and clear, and you just haven't paid attention. But as always, I always look for the hijacks, and I look for when it comes to my European uncles, I look for the split tongue conversations. And before we leave, I want to run down this clip and just to get your thoughts about what you hear in this conversation that they're having.
Audience something very simple in relation to what you're saying. In Africa, and the big game hunters in Africa for many years used to, when you go out to hunt the big game, you wouldn't go into the jungle to look for the big game. You would hire many of the natives to go out with cans and bottles and surround about a 10-mile circle out in front of you and work in, beating cans and bottles and screaming and frightening your prey, the lion or the animal that you're looking for, and he's your prey. And you keep closing in until finally whatever is out there comes out into the open and he's a sitting duck. That is precisely what has been happening for the last 100 years. The Illuminati have been purposely organizing, directing, and financing wars, revolutions, violence, and bloodshed, so that it will sufficiently impress and frighten the world of humanity into accepting a new order, a new police state that will finally put down all the law and order, the disorder in the world, and it is the oldest trick in the book. Our greatest enemy is not in a crack house, it's in the White House. It's not in a bar room, it's in the boardrooms. And so the point I'm making is that we are being manipulated from the very top, and we need to wake up and find out that America is not the land of the free and the home of the brave, because we're not free, and we darn sure ain't brave. Any longer.
Well, it's time to wake the town and tell the sheeple.
And that will be the conclusion of this episode. Wow. That was a mouthful right there.
Testing ground Africa.
There
So
you
in the
go.
beginning of the conversation, they were talking about the ancient world, correct?
Right.
And we discussed how the ancient world means more or less when Africa was dominant. And then it jumped into the European side of history because there are European uncles. And they started to more or less explain how Europe had a 1600 year span of reign and colonizing and wielding their will upon the globe.
Mm-hmm.
He said that, correct?
That's correct.
And the testing ground has been Africa for them for just about that amount of time. And their closing remarks are not necessarily that what happened in Africa to Africans or what happens to black people is the point. The point is it happens to them, and that could happen to all of us. So wake up. Am I saying something wrong?
No, that's correct. Everything that you said is correct.
But
It's
all being done by the people who are telling us this information. They look exactly like the same people.
Exactly.
Right? And them themselves can't really explain to you how or who they're talking about, because then it unravels the color game where they're talking about people who have been categorized in one group, which is also their
Right.
doing.
Right.
So that's why I say it's very important to listen to the doublespeak and the split tongue of conversations, because it's always going to be something that they say is important, and you should never let uh, your guard down when it comes to just learning from what our European uncles and aunties say.
So
Yeah, and if you listen closely, they're telling you about their history,
right. There you go.
and that's the value of listening and grasping an understanding. Yeah, closing words is, everybody out there, please be safe. Um, there is things that's going on, obviously, that we've been told about and we don't necessarily take heed to. So protect your necks, watch your back. Peace.
Peace.